That's okay. Okay. When you're shooting with a flash, shutter speed has no bearing on the exposure of the light coming from your flash. You control exposure on your flash only using aperture on your camera. And in fact, there's a shutter speed on your camera that's called the flash sync speed. It's the fastest shutter speed you can shoot using the flash. If you shoot any faster, what happens is there's what's called the first shutter and second shutter in your shutter. The second shutter at a high shutter speed begins closing before that first shutter has moved fully across the film plane. So if you shoot at a 60th of a second or a 1/25th of a second, your shutter opens and then closes. If you shoot at a 2/50th or 500th, your shutter opens and then closes as it's opening. So it's essentially a slit moving across your film, meaning when that flash pops, only that little slit is going to be exposed to the strobe. We set our exposure using aperture. And how do we figure out the correct exposure, the correct aperture to use? Basically, there's two ways. One is to depend on the flash to receive light bouncing back from your subject using what's called an automatic mode. And every flash that you're going to find has at least one automatic mode. Some have two, some have more. I'm going to just pass around these flashes. And you can see that generally they're color-coded. And you'll see that here. On the back of the flash, there'll be either a set of switches or dials that will allow you to figure out what your aperture should be, depending on the distance of your subject and the automatic mode you're using. So here there's, let's see, 1, 2, 3 automatic modes, which tell me to shoot in different distance ranges and have a different f-stop. Go ahead and pass that around. On this flash, there's 2 different automatic modes. There's, what's that color, purple or blue? Blue. There's blue, orange.
No, yellow.
Yellow? I'm colorblind. There's blue and yellow. I should know these stuff. This is my flash, right?
Well, it looks like orange.
It's kind of an orangey.
Yeah.
Orangey yellow.
Yeah,
So there's 2 auto modes on this flash. You look at your film speed, find the auto mode you're using, and then you set the aperture, f8 or f4. Now, that's all well and good if your flash is facing your subject. Now, I'll demonstrate using the flash facing your subject directly, but the downside of that, you guys might want to come around here because we'll be able to see it better.
Blind somebody.
The flash itself is particularly bright and particularly small. And what kind of a light source, what kind of a shadow do we get from a small light source? We get a hard or a soft light source? Shadow.
Hard.
Very hard. Hard, absolutely.
It's intense, the color.
Yeah, it's just this tiny little light source. It's smaller than our total lights. And what I do when shooting with flash is I use an umbrella to reflect my flash back. It bounces up, bounces back. If I were to be using an automatic mode, it's reading the light, bouncing back. It would turn itself off very quickly without getting enough light on my subject. So I use what are called manual modes. And if you look at the flashes also, there's the areas that are sort of not colored in, and on that one, the black and white one that says M on it, will give you a series of distances and apertures to use for those distances. And I'm going to demonstrate the difference in aperture and its effect on the result of the exposure. And then I'm also going to show you what happens when you shoot with too fast a shutter speed and the effect that has. And then I'm also going to show you how to shoot with multiple flashes using what's called a light slave. Okay. I'm going to also show you how to shoot off-camera flash. This is a battery, by the way. When I'm shooting with a flash, all of the flashes I use, you could use AA batteries. AA batteries, after the first 25 or 50 pops, are going to slow down in the refreshing the flash, and they only last maybe 100 shots, which is not enough for me. So I have this is a car battery, although they make newer ones that are lithium ion or lithium air or whatever. This company, Quantum, is I think in Hicksville, somewhere on Long Island, and they make a really good product, so I'm happy to support that. And they also refurbish their batteries, so if you find old ones of these, you can just send it in for like 60 bucks. These are like multi-$100 batteries though. New. Where'd my bigger flash go? Going with the, yeah, can I get that one back? Thank you. So on this flash, I have actually replaced the batteries with this cord that has a special adapter that looks like batteries, basically, right? It's sort of like the shape of batteries, and just goes in and sits in the place where the batteries would go, and it provides current back. Okay, so that's what this cable is. So ignore that cable, that's just batteries. The other cable that's twisty also is what's called my sync cord. It's going to synchronize my camera with my flash. You can absolutely put a flash right on top of your camera, but if you have a flash right on top of the camera, how's that light position? Is that flattering? Is that a good light position? No, it's the worst light position, right? Yeah, absolutely. You want to get it up and away, and that's exactly what I do. So there are radio syncs, meaning I could just attach a little radio transmitter on top of my camera and get a little radio receiver for the bottom of the flash and not have this cable. Those run in the hundreds of dollars also. This type of cable that I have, the fancy telephone wire cable, does everyone know what a telephone wire is?
Yeah.
Okay. Haven't had those around in a while. This is a little more expensive. This might have cost me $30 or $40. You can get very inexpensive ones that are not coiled like this, that are thinner, and they will run you around $8 to $12. It's worth getting one of those cords if you're interested in shooting flash, so you can get your flash away from your camera, right? So as I said, what I like to do is set up my camera so that I'm shooting maybe f8, maybe f5.6, just depending on how far my subject is away from me. I have a little bracket that has a standard port here for an umbrella to fit in. And I have a portable umbrella that's very much like the ones we have here. Thank you. Oh, are you going to hold it for me?
Oh, sure.
Well, I was going to hold it and point it that way, but just thought you might see it. This is a photo umbrella, just with a black top, right? I can take this off and make it a diffusing umbrella, but I'm much more interested in using it as a reflecting umbrella. So let me second here. Someday I'll crazy glue this on so it doesn't pop off. Hopefully when I review this video. Okay, so now that my cover is attached, I'm going to put this in that flash bracket, which is this thing right here, and it just goes into the standard slot. This is exactly the same sort of thing that we have built in to our Toto lights, right? We don't have these holes built into our flashes. This little metal piece, aluminum piece, probably cost me like 20 bucks, honestly. And that's a specialized thing. Got it at B&H. And I've set my flash to point at the umbrella, right? I have my camera set to 1/125th at f8. I'm just going to hold my umbrella up. Look how far away my light source is. Remember, my light source at this point is not the flash, really. It's the umbrella. So now, I have it a good distance away. I have it from my camera, right? And when I take a picture, hopefully, yeah, I've got a good exposure. The position, I can vary depending on where I want my light to be, whether I want it in front or really to the side. I'm going to now change my aperture. I was shooting at f8 a second ago. I'm going to shoot at 5.6, which is giving myself more light more light striking my sensor from the same amount of light coming out. I'm also going to shoot at f11, which is less light striking my sensor. Okay. Good. And I'm going to shoot f8 at 1/500th of a second, so that you'll get a sense of what the shutter getting in the way of your flash looks like. So here we have same thing, same amount of light, same aperture, very fast shutter speed, and it cuts the light out. So let me just put it also here for a second, and over here. So what are we getting when we have this setup? We're getting a light that's a lot like our studio light. We have a big diffuse light. We have it positioned in a specific place. We are not talking about putting our camera flash right on top of our camera and shooting that directly at our subject. That would be brutal, tough light. It leaves a spot in your eye for the subject. It's not pleasant. For the subject. And it also is not very flattering image. There are photographers who use that technique, and I'll show you a few, or show you one actually today. So I'm not sure how well you guys in the back can see. You might want to move closer. When we're line just click like this, not across. Yours are all across, mine was up. The shutter was already up here when the flash popped. It can be an interesting effect. Right? Having this not exposed and having that exposed gives particular exposure. Questions about that? Let me show you how to use two flashes at once, and then I'm going to show you some pictures. Oh, I'm going to set one down. Oh, you guys can hold one. Here, let me just grab this. Where's that little flash?
Use the toes to grab.
So,
Good job.
it's off too, right? Do you know how many times I've done it? 10,000.
Damn.
Okay, so this I'm going to. Don't touch. You just have yourself. Don't touch that. So just get that. That, and also the back, will pop the flash. Okay, so now I'm going to have one flash triggering another flash by the light. And yeah, feel free to move that. I'm happy to have somebody on camera. Meaning it won't just be a blank frame and hearing talking. Have you tried to watch some of these movies I've made where like I'm off frame for like 2 minutes and then I come back in? It's pretty funny. Okay. Sorry, actually, let me stay on that side. And let me point that at Dimitri, right?
Yeah.
Right.
He was double guessing it.
What? I was. It's like one of the days from
He didn't even know who it was for a minute.
I don't know who I am some days too. Okay, so I'm going to shoot this once again at f8, and I'm going to bring my shutter speed back to 1/125th of a second, which is under my sync speed. And now go ahead. Yeah, perfect. Just leave it right there. So this went off, right, at the same time, and you'll see actually that's my key light. That's brighter. And if I don't want that to be brighter, I can do two things, right? I can move that further away, or I can make this one brighter. Why don't we move that further away? Actually, stand right here. It's probably about double the distance at this point. So now the flashes went off, right? Do we see that? Sort of further away. And now we have a very even light. And once you get a sense that these things are possible, with flash, you can really do a lot very simply. I honestly find that flash, in many cases, is safer and easier to use because you don't have to be around a socket to plug into. You can use AA batteries. And you can position it very easily because you're not attached. So here we have the first one. The downside, of course, of flash is that you can't see the results until you've taken a picture, right? So here we're taking pictures and getting to see the results. Honestly, I would not recommend using the flash until you're comfortable shooting with existing light really well. Shooting with hot lights, understand that. And then you can get a sense of where you want your light position. So here's that first shot. I said, boy, that became our key light, right? You see how bright this is? This umbrella that I was holding became our fill, right? And now, when I moved this light, double the distance, right? It was here before, and we just moved it to right here. All of a sudden, these lights became very even. I still think that's our key light, just slightly. But man, is that like a studio shot or what? Right? And what are we using here? We're using a $30 flash with the $20 attachment. So it's a very cheap light, really. And my big flash, I think this was an $80 flash, honestly. The Sunpack 383 is an $80 flash. Very inexpensive too. You know, the flashes are very simple devices in a way, and you can get them affordably and transport them easily. They're small. I'm a big advocate of these portable, cheap flashes. What else can I show you? I think that's it. Normally, if we were doing color photography, I'd show you how to modify color of lights. You can do that very simply by adding colored gels to your lights. You want to see that one time before we move on? We are doing black and white. This doesn't apply directly to this, but since this is a photo class, I might as well show you. So, where's the little guy go? So what I do is I take one of these gels and adhere it directly to the flash. These gels are very heat tolerant. They're plastic that's high heat. Yeah, no, it's actually. So what I do, they're red. Is that reddish, orangish? Orangish red. I'm going to take two very different colors. So I put a red one on that, and I'm going to try to find a bluish. What I'm flipping through here, by the way, is a sample set. This is something that you could get either for $1 or for free, depending on what photo store you go to. And the nice thing about these sample sets is they're exactly the same size as one of these cheap flashes. When you buy these, if you're ever going to buy gels, they sell them big enough to cover our hot lights, and they will not melt with our hot lights. So you can color your hot lights. But if you're using the flash, I just lick them and stick them right onto my flash. And what this is going to do is obviously modify the color. So let me just take one more shot. These like this, and I'll show you. I want to show you one other thing too.
Taking pictures of you today.
So, good, good. I'm going to leave this undiffused for now, just for the fun of it. So those both went off, right? I missed. Did this go off? Yep. Good. Shooting directly, you get one thing. Another thing you can do, by the way, people remember how I was talking about you could bounce light with the hot lights? Bouncing light with a flash is something you can do too. And some flashes have rotating heads, so that even if you've attached your flash to your camera, if you don't have a sync cord, if you go close enough to a wall, you can bounce a flash like that, and that becomes your light source. If you look, actually, go ahead and look at that wall right there. Like, man, that is a really big light source, right? So it's very different quality of light that you're getting when you're bouncing off of a wall rather than going direct. So let's see how these came out. And we were just doing color, two different color gels, so you really get to see how your lights are interacting. And those last shots, I wasn't really doing anything. I was just sort of So here we have the red light coming from one side, the bluish light coming from the other, right? And you get some very interesting effects that honestly are nearly impossible to do in Photoshop. If you're trying to do this in Photoshop, you drive yourself nuts.
Yeah.
You do a lot of effects in Photoshop, but mixing light like this. Alright, so this is the one where I bounced it off here. Notice the red light is very much our key light. We had a slight fill coming from, you see this sort of blue coming in from over there? That's just because I was bouncing it so far away. And the light source was traveling a long distance. Okay. So that's flash. minutes to do that, and then, or so, and we'll get out of here at 4:30 before. Okay, people, just so you know, is this on or off?
Yeah.
It's on. I want to just stop it and start it again for the lecture, just so I have it in different.
Stop it right now?
Yeah, just.